Okay, Instagram's already here, so welcome to Kung Fu Epic number 2 for part 2 of the strange and unusual. The other video is probably 15 minutes long. After they post, please be sure to check. If you're watching them now, that means I've posted this and it is probably a whole different day, which is probably not right now. But if you are watching it right now while this was being recorded, you guys get the gist. Instagram's watching it right now because I'm with them live right now. Okay, so strange and unusual. We were talking about aliens and alien abductions and things that kind of bring all this stuff together. No, Hennessy does not help you see ghosts. I was just straightening that up so you guys would know what I was doing when I was bending over. Alright, so, had to throw in a joke. I probably should have got that tea while I was out, but I still got plenty of ginger ale. When it comes down to these supernatural, strange, unusual phenomenons, you have to understand how this works. It's great writing for TV. If you want to make a great show, you go to someone who's been abducted or someone who's been some kind of experience of some supernatural shit, and you will have a great TV show. Great TV show. Even Marvel did a horror comics. Even Marvel did zombies. I don't think DC picked up on that vibe. But I know for a fact Marvel Zombies was a hit. I didn't buy any of those because that wasn't my thing. But it was a hit. Give or take a few fans, it was a hit. For me, it wasn't really my thing. I love zombies, but I like zombies, George A. Romero zombies. Not so fond of every superhero in the universe of Marvel being zombies. Zombies, by the way, will have nothing to do with this because the zombies we experience in real life are people who probably snorted or fucked up with some bath salt. Now, y'all remember that little incident in Florida where this dude was trying to kill everybody and he swore up and down he was a zombie, but I think he might have died. I think he died under police fire. But we won't go there. We're going to get back on track on the supernatural, aliens, etc., thing. And the thing about that is, every human on Earth has an experience. To get someone else to believe your experience is the trial and error part. As I said in my other videos about me and this witch writer that plagued me since the age of 7 into the age of 15, and it never stopped attacking me until I touched it. And once I could touch it, that changed the ballgame. That changed the whole perspective on things. It changed it for me specifically because I was always told that you can't touch ghosts. They were wrong. I'm not the king of the impossible for a reason. I'm the king of the impossible because I learned something that was impossible was possible. That was it. I touched the fucking spirit. Because the witch rider in itself is technically a spirit. It just depends on your location and who tells you what it is, not blood paralysis or sleep paralysis, which is what the scientists and the doctors are chalking that bullshit up as. Now, everything I said in the other video could also be chalked up as bullshit. But when it comes down to aliens and Bigfoot and all these other things, we have not been able to debunk that shit. So it's one of those, if it does exist, we don't have the evidence. If it doesn't exist, again, we don't have the evidence. So if you don't have the evidence, how can you say something does or does not exist? But you have stories. Ghost stories have been something that people have told around campfires for a century. And the ghost stories generally come from some myth or legend which has some kernel or cranial or mustard seed of truth to it. So how do we get there? We get there because one person said something to one person, who said it to another person, who said it to another person, who said it to the fifth person who was probably high as fuck, and made the exaggeration go from making sense to out of this world. Now, aliens. We're going back to aliens. I'm sorry. We're going to stick with aliens for a couple of minutes before I swing this shit back around to other supernatural events, go back to ghosts, go back to Bigfoot, shit like that. But aliens is not something that we should take lightly. Because as a veteran of the United States Army, I was told at Fort Benning, Georgia, that we are prepared for zombies. We are not prepared for aliens, at least not at Fort Benning, Georgia, but we are prepared for zombies. Now, anybody who's ever served at Area 51 can probably tell you, oh, we are probably prepared for aliens. My theory on that, I'm going to be honest with you really quickly. and you guys can take this with a grain of salt. This very well may shut down both my YouTube and my Instagram for saying this, but I think the aliens are already here. I think they've always been here. I think we've been working together with them for fucking centuries, and no one wants to say anything because you have to look at how civilization has taken a few jumps in technology probably before its time. We went from rotary phones to push button phones to everybody on earth and their mama having a cell phone. Right? There are 4 and 5-year-old kids who can work this thing way better than me. I have a 6-year-old nephew. I have a 2-year-old niece. They can slide finger the fuck out of shit and discover shit and find shit. And I'll just be looking over their shoulder and be like, you can't even read, but you can work a cell phone. I can read, probably a little bit better than her, but I can't find shit on the cell phone. You don't know how many times I've tried to Google the enemies of Scarlet Spider today and got anything but that. So yeah, technology, it's gonna kill us all if aliens and monsters from beyond don't come into it first. Now, you have to understand when you're talking about alien stuff, alright? Who's to say that Bigfoot and aliens aren't the same? But we have to think about the story of Atlantis. We have to think about Greek mythology, because in Greek mythology you have gods. Where'd they go? Okay, if you got to the end of Greek mythology, you know that the twilight of the gods technically happened twice, and the final twilight of the gods, all the gods were basically killed by Hercules and some other people, and mostly by Hercules, I'm pretty sure. I can't really remember, but I'm going to have to go find that out. But go for that part about Hercules killing the gods, alright? Now, you also have to remember that in certain parts of Greek mythology, the gods turned Hercules into a constellation, along with Cassiopeia, along with some other cats. I think Medusa may have a constellation. I don't fucking know. But the gods turned Medusa into a Gorgon because she was prettier than Aphrodite, who was the goddess of love. We thought she was the most prettiest thing on the planet. You see how these things are working themselves into everything's a clusterfuck? Because it is. And I hate to swear, but it really is a clusterfuck. But because you have, on one hand, you have aliens, and everybody has, like, knows somebody who's either seen something or heard something, and then you have the 3 adoptees, or 4 technically, who have either wrote a book, or they've made a movie about it, or both. Travis Walt wrote a book, Fire in the Sky. They turned it into a movie starring D.B. Sweetie. What the fuck is his name? Because he was big when it came out. Edward Furlong was the youngest one, and the guy from Terminator who also played against Edward Furlong in the Terminator. Damn, what is his fucking name? Robert something. Now, not to be mistaken with the guy from Twilight, but it's Robert something. And yeah, he's also done lots of other things, but he definitely was in Fire in the Sky. And then you have Mila Jovovich, who did the alien abduction in Alaska thing. And then you have the couple, the interracial couple, that they didn't make a movie of, but there is a documentary. They also had some information on that in the Area 51 files, or whatever the fuck it's called. I can't remember the name of the company or the family or whatever, but I do know that it did happen, and the man was black and the wife was white, and they were driving home. And they lost a couple of days or a couple of hours. I may have misspoken, but either way, they lost something, and the watches and everything stopped, and then it didn't really start ticking back. And when they got home and checked the calendar, some shit was off. Let's just leave it at that, just in case I have misspoken. Let's just leave it at that. Some shit was off. And they also got hypnotized, and their hypnotism was documented. So Area 51 had some shit going on. So, again, trying to figure out if aliens, Bigfoot, everything is real is the enigma that is held before us, because you can't prove that they exist. You can't disprove that they exist. Now I'm going to take you to an episode of Johnny Quest real quick, when they remade Johnny Quest. When the cartoon was cartoon, but when they went into the virtual world, it was like reboot style. So there's an episode of Johnny Quest where the monks of a Tibetan tribe take in Johnny Quest and them for something happened. But they take in Johnny Quest and Jesse. And initially, the father comes and Race comes. And when they get there, they talk to the monks. And the monks take them to another monk who happens to be a Yeti. So the Yeti speaks perfect English and shakes the hand of either Race Bannon or Benton Quest. Either way, he proves that the Bigfoot does exist in the realm of Johnny Quest. But we're also talking about a Hanna-Barbera cartoon that once made a dude named Hard Rock exist, where the only person that was closely related to a black person in Johnny Quest was Haji, who was an Indian, the ones with the dots, not the feathers. So you see where we're going with that. So Aliens, also great TV. The best Bigfoot movie I've seen, not comedy, which would be Harry and the Hendersons, which was comedy, but there's a movie called It Exists. You guys should go check that out. It's a very good Bigfoot movie. However, there have been lots of Bigfoot movies on Sci-Fi Channel. There's been the Bigfoot, there's been the Sasquatches, there's been the Yeti, there was the Abominable Snowman. All these things came out in the late 90s, early 2000s when sci-fi was at its booming point, where they had just got finished doing whatever the hell they were going to do with Farscape. Because I think Farscape probably should have kept going, but they ended it well. But the whole thing with aliens and Bigfoot and stuff, no matter what you're told, they always make great TV. But for all real purposes and for this video purpose, you know, we want to dive into that shit. Like I said, True Believers is on freaking Travel Channel right now. I think they're doing Ghost again. I think they may be doing Ghost for the whole Believers thing, because it's a whole marathon until 6 o'clock. And for those who are in Virginia, I have no idea what damn time it is. I can tell you in a minute. It is right now 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, I just kicked your ass. So, yeah, they're doing 3 more hours of Believers, and then Ghost Adventures come on at 6. And if I'm lucky, this camera will charge up, and this other camera will charge up, and I can actually go out and film. If not, I'm looking like I'm going to have to be filming tomorrow, which is kind of going to be fucked up, which means I'm going to have to read How to Be an Anti-Racist from Chapter 1 to Chapter 8, which I'm going to have to get started on, because this thing stopped blinking, but it keeps saying that the battery is not full, which we're going to have it say it one more time. But it doesn't matter because I can't film if that battery is not charged, which that battery is not charged. Okay, still not full. So I'm not going to keep trying to charge it because I don't want to like blow the battery. We're going to put my cameras back over here where they are safe from harm. And we're just going to go. Alright, so the thing with that, also might want to move this battery so it doesn't get lost. The thing with that is that, you know, when it comes down to it, we can't prove that aliens don't exist. We can't prove that they do exist. It's the same thing with people who go against me for believing in God. It's like, well, God doesn't exist. It's like, well, some people have written stories about coming back from the afterlife, which is another thing that you guys should go look up. I haven't looked up into that because I'm a strong believer in, if I make it to heaven, God would literally have to put boots to ass for me to come back. Yeah, because I've had a horrible ass life here, and I made it to heaven. There's no way in hell I'm trying to come back. No way. Unless God could promise me that I'm going to have a way better life than the one I've got right now. And so if he sends me back as a whole different person, yes, I can do that. But if I'm coming back to bad old James, I'm not really going to be too thrilled about that shit. You know, because I've had a horrible ass life. So, aliens, Bigfoot, supernatural stuff. Let's start diving deeper. Alright? Like I said, some of these TV shows that get into the what if the Bigfoot and aliens are one and the same? Well, what if they are? What if them being in the suits as Bigfoot makes them safe, so they have to be aliens in these suits, and they get out of the suits when they get back on the ship and go into space. Now, there have been stories where you see Bigfoot 1 minute, and he teleports, and he's gone. Those are possible and very, very feasible. You know, you can almost actually, you can actually see that coming. You can actually see that happening. You can actually say, yeah, that kind of makes sense. So we have to figure out. Sorry, my hip started hurting, so I have to sit down. I only have 2 hours that I can sit down, and then I have to get back up. So if they're able to do that, where does that leave us? Because you got a lot of people out here trying to find Bigfoot. You do. You honestly, truly do. You have a lot of people out here trying to find aliens. You don't have too many people out there really trying to do ghosts because they're pretty sure that they don't know, that I do know, that you can touch the ghost. But you have to be able to see them some of the times. With the Ridge Rider, I never saw the bastard. All I know is that we were tangled up in this blanket, and I had to get that bastard because it was choking the shit out of me. Now, that being said, and I'm probably freaking everybody on Instagram out, I'm going to probably freak everybody here on YouTube out as well. But the problem is, you can't force your beliefs on anybody. So if you're here and you don't believe in aliens and this was good entertainment for you, then I've done my job. If you're here and you do believe the stories that I told you, then that's great. The only story I told you that is possibly true is the Witch Rider, because just because I saw something in a tree doesn't mean it was Bigfoot. I know it's not a sloth, and I know we don't have orangutans in Virginia, not in the wild, But I'm not going to put that past. It very well could have been a sloth, but not likely. It very well could have been an orangutan, but not likely. And I personally have never seen a fucking alien. I'm not trying to see an alien, because I don't want to have an anal probe. That's like one of my biggest fears since South Park came out, when Cartman got that anal probe, and every time he farted, there was fire out of his ass. And then at the last fart, like a whole fucking mechanized satellite shit came out of his ass. Like, well, damn, the asshole is not that big. So yeah, no anal probing for me. So I'm gonna end this now with what I should have begun this with. Do you believe? That is the end. Thanks for watching Kung Fu Havoc number 2. I'll make a third part after I go deal with these dogs.